I came across a great story today out of LA where this guy was cheating carpool lanes by tying a jacket to the passenger seat and making it look like he had a passenger. And you can see in the pictures, it's really simple, but I'm sure it was really effective, and I'm sure he used it a lot. But some enterprising California Highway Patrol guy busted him. They must have been driving really slow for him to figure it out. But I love stories like that, and I loved the Escape from Alcatraz, the paper mache heads in the beds, and that story about in World War II that where the Allies were using fake tanks on the ground in England to make it look like D-Day was going to launch from a different spot and land in a different spot. And I went down this rabbit hole today looking up a bunch of stuff like that, and I came across a story that I had never heard before. The fake trees of World War One. And what was happening was that in World War One, the weapons were way more deadly. They were stuck in trenches, and aerial photography made it, that was obviously new, it made it really easy to detect where troops were, so they needed new ways to deceive the enemy forces. And this group of, in the British Royal Engineers, this guy named Solomon J. Solomon, it's a very interesting tune name, Solomon. He was an artist who helped them experiment on all these different covert tactics and ways to spy and be sneaky around the enemy. One of them was that he was able to put snipers in dead horses, and you can see the picture there, and dummy heads to draw out enemy forces. And this, which I came across, which is this, basically it's a fake tree that you could put a man in, and some of these things had telephones in them, they had periscopes, they had snipers in them. And the way they would do this is they would send an illustrator out at dawn, right? Like, because that's when the good light was, and he would go, and presumably he would go out there and sketch the tree. And because these guys aren't stupid, you can't just put a tree in the middle of the no man's land or whatever, the battlefield, and they're going to not know. And so he would sketch it out. Then they would make an exact replica of the tree, and then in the middle of the night, they would go chop the tree down, and they would do this. They would be firing artillery at the to block the sound of chopping the tree down. It's crazy, but they would chop the tree down. They would replace it with the fake tree, and then they had their fake tree for snipers and whatever, and they could listen to the conversations of the other troops. They could see where people were going, and it was like, anyway, I thought that was a really cool story. I'd never heard of it, and apparently it was not fun being in one of these trees, especially if you were claustrophobic. And also they took a lot of shelling, and so they got blown up. Not super safe to be in there. And eventually they went on to do different tactics, whatever. I think there were about 45 of these things they built. And I thought it was ingenious. And that story about the guy cheating the carpool lanes helped me to discover this. So, yeah. And I also wanted to mention, there's a great documentary. It's about 8 minutes, a short little doc about this at the Imperial War Museum's website. And I'll put a link to it, where I got a lot of this information from, and you should check it out because it's really cool. There's a bunch of other stuff like this in here, and it's short and cool.